Let's talk about the issues the state of the party is making. The basic point is this, that in the last election, people voted for radical change and they didn't get it. And in the next election, everybody will be thinking, OK, the absolute disillusionment with the traditional parties, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Labour Party, vote for radical change and they won't get it again. It'll be the same again. Isn't that the way it's going to be, Alison?
Well, it depends on your definition of radical change, I suppose. If you consider the state that the country was in when the current government took over, it is quite radical where we are now, that the Troika is no longer here. We're out of the bailout, and that every day seems to bring positive economic news.
Same would have happened had Fianna Fáil remained in power.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's still quite radical. Yes, if you were talking about sort of political, if you're talking about political reform and change, absolutely. I think this government has been a major disappointment.
They've done more or less what Fianna Fáil, not more or less, almost exactly what Fianna Fáil agreed with the Troika in November of 2010.
Yeah, but I think I don't disagree with you there, but I think that they do deserve some brownie points for actually carrying it out. They may have had the plan there, but it was a difficult plan, a very difficult one to carry out.
The major decisions in the adjustment, the fiscal adjustment, was taken by the previous government.
But are you saying then that during the first couple of years that they were governing, that they had an easy time of it, that it was an easy time to be in government?
Well, I don't know what you mean by easy time. Of course it was easy for them because they're all making more money than they were making before. And they enjoyed the fruits of office. So it was a wonderful time for them to be in government.
I would disagree with you. I'd say it was a pretty awful time.
It wasn't a pretty awful time. It was an awful
time to be in government.
I mean, if you consider the lives of people that were devastated by the choices this government made, they had an awful time.
But would you say we are better off as a result of the actions that they took and they stuck with than if they had not done that? I would say that generally we are better off.
Well, who's we?
I think generally as an economy. Our economy is better off.
We as an economy.
You can of course argue that it's easy for me to say that as someone who lives in Dublin, that there are other parts of the country that are certainly not benefiting, but one would hope that as time goes by that will happen.
You said we is an economy equals an economy.
I said as in an economy.
But how could we be as in an economy? We as in people.
But I'm discussing now, my point being the state of our national economy will of course matter to everybody in the country. That had the country gone bust, we'd be in a far worse position now, and whether you want to look at it as an economy or as a society, we would be far worse.
This is silly stuff. We were and are a very rich country. The state, because it was inadequately funded by society, that might have gone bust, but we weren't going to go bust. The country wasn't going to go bust.
So
we were and are a very rich country.
Well, what about then if there had been a run on the banks, for instance?
But they dealt with that in the bank guarantee back in 2008.
No, but you seem to be almost kind of negating the actions that were taken and that they were of any benefit. Whereas I'm saying that as a result of the things that were done, we're now in a much better position. You can certainly argue about various decisions along the way.
The question is, who's we? And you said, last time I asked you that question, you said we was the economy.
No, I was discussing how the economy affects us as citizens.
What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think that if there is a recovery, and obviously there is signs of some recovery, that the vast majority of citizens are certainly not feeling it. I mean, I would say to Alison, if you're somebody who is lying in a hospital trolley, you don't feel valued by this government's policy decisions. If you're a young person who suffers from mental health and can't get access to proper services, and we saw that raised today, I don't think you'll feel valued by this government. If you're somebody who is unemployed, if you're somebody who is a carer or somebody with disabilities who have had their benefits cut, had their services cut, I don't believe you will see any sign of recovery, or you will see that this government's policies have been fair. So the reason why the government parties have plummeted in the polls is because people don't believe that this government made the right policy choices, that this government don't believe that the recovery is being built on fairness. In fact, what we do know from all of the evidence is that this economy is being built on low pay and unfairness, and the people who played no hand, act or part in creating the economic crisis are the people who are disproportionately paying the biggest price. And that's why the government parties and the Labour Party especially are being hammered in the polls.